This is a story of a single mother of 3 kids, whose battle for financial independence and a better life for her children drew her even closer to God. It's a story of perseverance, contentment, faith in God, and resilience. Omoye was a smart, kind, and hard-working mother of 3 children. She was a very friendly neighbor and a known media team worker in church. She and her children were loved and respected by all, because of their kind behavior and respectful demeanor. However, Omoye struggled financially. She shared a 1-bedroom apartment with her 3 kids who were 9, 5, and 3 years respectively. They were a closely knit family and they loved each other dearly. The neighbors often wondered if Omoye was a widow, a divorcee, or a single mother, as she had no husband living with her, but she always declined their questions with a smile and went about her business. As Omoye took her youngest to creche, on a lovely Thursday morning, she couldn't help but notice the crispness and dustiness in the air. Harmattan season was here again. Once upon a time, this used to be her favorite time of the year, when all the leaves turn brown and fall. When she had to wear her warm and cozy sweaters. However, Harmattan was just a reminder of what she had lost, and even though she still tried to make Christmas memorable for her children, Christmas had lost its spark for her. As she dropped Tommy off with his teacher, she worried about Christmas presents and clothes for the kids, because no matter how hard things got, she was going to make Christmas memorable for her kids. She did a quick mental calculation and discovered that she needed to work the overnight shift thrice that week to be able to make something extra for Christmas and not have to touch their meager savings. She quickly went back to Tommy's teacher, who doubled as their babysitter when the situation arose, and informed her that she will need her to watch the kids 3 times that week. Tommy agreed and they negotiated her payment as usual. Omoye saw that she was still early for work, so she stopped by the fabric market to see the price of fabrics for her children's Christmas clothes. She fondly greeted her favorite seller, and the seller showed her the latest fabrics and designs that were within her budget. Omoye was excited. She was going to make Christmas magic for her kids. Omoye got to work a little bit late. She worked in the back office of the General Hospital's pharmacy and she was studying part-time to get her pharmacist's degree. She smiled and apologized to her boss and quickly went to work, taking an inventory of the available medications. Omoye loved her job, as the hours were manageable and the pay allowed her to put a roof over her kids' heads and also save a little every month. She took a little break to inform her boss that she will be willing to work the night shift next week. They quickly put her name down on the roster. That evening, after dinner of eba and egusi soup, the children played quietly in the small living room, their laughter filling the space with warmth. Omoye sat on the edge of the bed, sketching designs for the Christmas clothes she hoped to sew herself to save money. Just as she was about to gather the children for bedtime prayers, there was a loud knock at the door. Omoye frowned. Visitors were rare at this hour, and the children looked up, startled. "Who's there?" she called, as she approached the door. "It's me, Felix," came the familiar voice of her nosy landlord. Omoye sighed deeply, her shoulders slumping. She opened the door slightly, just enough to see his face. "Good evening, sir. Hope all is well?" Felix didn't bother with pleasantries. "Omoye, I need to talk to you about the rent." Her heart sank. She had been diligent, always paying on time despite her struggles, but she had overheard whispers that Felix was planning to increase the rent in the new year. "Please, sir, can we talk tomorrow? The children are about to sleep." Felix frowned but relented. "Tomorrow, first thing. And be ready to talk business," he said, before walking away. Omoye closed the door and leaned against it, her mind racing. A rent increase would ruin her fragile budget. She had to think fast. The next morning, Omoye was up early, her mind heavy with worry. No matter what Omoye was going through, she always hung on to God and prayed fervently about all her issues. After dropping the kids at school and creche, she made her way to Felix's apartment. The landlord, a middle-aged man with an air of self-importance, ushered her inside. "I've been good to you, Omoye. Never complained about your children running around, never said a word about your guests." "I don't have guests," Sir, she interrupted, trying to stay calm. Felix waved her off. Still, the cost of everything is rising. I'll be increasing the rent by 30% starting January. 30%? Omoye's voice rose before she could stop herself. Sir, that's too much. How am I supposed to manage that? Felix leaned back in his chair. That's not my concern. You can either pay, or find somewhere else to live. Omoye left his apartment feeling defeated, but she wasn't ready to give up. She decided to call her friend Amaka, who worked in real estate. Amaka picked up on the second ring. Omoye, long time. How are you? I'm managing, my sister. Please, I need your help. Do you know of any apartments for rent within my budget? Amaka hesitated. The market is tight, but I might know a place. It's farther from the kids' school, though. I'll make it work, Omoye said quickly. Please send me the details. Later that day, as Omoye juggled work and her frantic search for a new home, her boss called her into his office. Omoye, you've been one of our most reliable staff. We're opening a new branch, and there's an opportunity for a promotion, better pay, but it comes with longer hours and one night shift per week. Her heart leapt. A promotion would mean more financial security, but how would she manage the children with longer hours? Thank you, sir. Can I think about it and get back to you tomorrow? Her boss nodded, and she left the office feeling torn. This promotion was going to bring a 20% pay bump, and it was a place closer to her kids' school. However, a part of that money will go for extra babysitting fees as she had to work 2 nights every fortnight. She had to pray about it and think deeply about it. That night, after the children had gone to bed, Omoye sat by the flickering light of a rechargeable lamp. She thought about her late husband, the dreams they'd shared, and the life they'd built before it all fell apart. Tears welled up, but she wiped them away. I have to make this work, she whispered to herself. As she drifted off to sleep, her mind was made up. She would take the promotion, find a more affordable place, and make Christmas special for her children, even if it meant sewing their clothes at midnight. The weeks leading up to Christmas were a whirlwind for Omoye. Between her extended hours at work, packing up their old apartment, and sewing clothes late into the night, she barely had time to breathe. But every stitch, every bead, every hem was sewn with love as she crafted the perfect outfits for her children. On the evening of Christmas Eve, Omoye finally sat back and admired her handiwork. 3 vibrant outfits lay neatly on the bed, for Ayo, Shei, and for little Tommy. In a corner of the room, 3 wrapped parcels sat waiting to surprise the children, gifts Omoye had painstakingly saved for. Ayo would get the storybook she had been dreaming of, Shei the set of toy cars he always gazed at in the market, and Tommy a colorful puzzle to keep his little hands busy. As the children played with the neighbors, Omoye made the final preparations for their move. Amaka had come through with an apartment closer to her new workplace. It was a bit more cozy than the old one, but it was within her budget and had enough space for her family. By the time the children returned, Omoye was ready with their Christmas pajamas, a simple but heartfelt dinner of rice and chicken, and a promise of magic the next morning. Omoye woke up to the sound of Ayo's excited voice. "Mummy! Mummy! It's Christmas!" The children piled onto her bed, their laughter chasing away any trace of fatigue. She hugged them tightly, savoring the warmth of their little bodies against hers. "Okay, my darlings," she said with a smile. "Go and brush. There's a surprise waiting for you." The children scrambled to obey, their giggles filling the tiny room. When they returned, their eyes widened at the sight of the colorful outfits and the neatly wrapped presents on the bed. "Is this for us, Mummy?" Ayo asked, her voice trembling with joy. Omoye nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "Yes, my loves. It's all for you. Merry Christmas." As they tore open the wrapping paper, the room filled with shouts of delight. Ayo hugged her book tightly, already flipping through the pages. Shei raced his new toy cars across the floor, and Tommy clapped his hands in glee as he worked on his puzzle. Later, dressed in their new clothes, they walked to church as a family, their steps lighter than they had been in months. The Harmattan air was crisp and cool, but Omoye's heart was warm. God had answered all her prayers and more. Her faith was renewed. After the service, when they got home, neighbors gathered to compliment the children's outfits and wish Omoye well. Even Felix, the landlord, stopped by to greet them. Omoye smiled graciously but was already mentally bidding farewell to the apartment and its troubles. That night, as the children fell asleep, exhausted from the day's excitement, Omoye sat by the dim light of the lamp. For the first time in a long while, she felt peace. The future was still uncertain, but she had her family, her faith, and her determination. Omoye picked up her notebook and began to write down her goals for the new year. The top of the list read, "Find a way to finish my degree. Build a better life for my kids." As she closed the book, she whispered to herself, "I can do this. We can do this." And in that tiny room filled with the soft snores of her children, Omoye made a promise: every Christmas would be magical, no matter what it took.